welcome to Legends of the Squared Circle. This is getting large. We are on episode 7 now, I believe. So it's getting really good. Got a lot of interaction, a lot of followers coming. Shout out to everybody watching on X. I know there's a lot of you there. Everybody watching on Villains. Every platform that we're on, we appreciate you being here. It's going to be a great show, man. We have so much to talk about tonight. We've been contemplating this one for a couple of weeks now, so it's going to be a really, really good show. I know I've been excited about it. So, Brandon, how you doing tonight?
Man, it's good, man. We are debuting a new kind of topic segment on this show. We've been doing top 5 since the beginning. I feel like this will be able to I feel like we can be more interactive with you guys because top 5s are easy to do, but this is like more of like a deep discussion going into certain topics and really opening the pages and really reading between the lines. And I think it's going to be really fun, man, for sure.
I agree, 100%. So I was texting James back. He messaged us, said he'd be on in just a minute.
Cool.
But we prepared for this eventuality. Hey, yes. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
So that is Emily's page. Everybody, you all know me. You all know Emily. Go and like that page right there.
Go check it out.
Page. Cam already here.
Yeah.
Cam, I'm glad you're here, man. Join us sometime when you get time. So let's go into our first segment that we want to talk about while we wait on the great No Mercy James. This right here, this belongs to my son's page, Pro Wrestling Villains. Shout out to my son, Lou. Go and like his page. He's going to revive it here soon. It's on Facebook. So I'm looking at this, Brandon, and I made this like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm not sure how long ago that was. And at first you're like, that's easy. And then you really start looking at the star power on this page and like, shit, this is the hardest thing that I've ever, like, because it's just a fatal four-way. Everybody at once, free for all. So look at this star power, look at who's in there, and Brandon, like, who wins this match?
Man, that's hard because I see HBK there, and this is the thing, this is going to be a banger whether he wins or not. Like, I don't feel like HBK even has to win this match. He's going to be the top performer out of anybody on here. Yeah, if he's got creative control, that Hogan has creative control, we already know that's out the window, but that is not going to be part of this discussion.
No.
So I've already ruled him out. I mean, he brings in the star power and he brings in all the notoriety himself. And then you look at a guy like Randy, who's very like out of, obviously, RKO out of nowhere. You don't know what's going to happen with him. And you got Jericho, who's the technician that can do everything as well. Man, I'm gonna go Jericho, man. I'm going to go Jericho.
So you say Jericho wins this match?
Yeah, I think it could go any way, but I'd probably go Jericho.
So I'm looking at this, and I made this, like I said, 2 years ago. So I've had a long time to contemplate this, man. So the initial reaction is Hulk Hogan wins this match. He's the bruiser, he's the brute. He gets back up. He's there. Then you got Randy, who can hit you with an RKO out of nowhere. Then you got Shawn Michaels, who is the motherfucking GOAT. He's going to make the match 5-star just for him being there. So you know it's about to be really good. And then you got Chris Jericho. So if you look at, hold on, let's see what he said, then I'll finish. yeah, not in real life, but I'm looking at this. And I'm trying to break it down because there's a lot of star power. So my heart says HBK is going to win this match, right? But that's called bias because that's my guy, right? And Hulk Hogan wins everything, and he's huge, and like, so you would think him. But reality is, I agree with you because Jericho is dirty. Right? Jericho will play the game the way it needs to be played. He will wait till Hulk Hogan's bloody out of the ring. He will wait till Hulk Hogan's out of the ring, and then Shawn Michaels will sweet chin music, Randy Orton, then next thing you know, code breaker. And that's exactly how the match would end, in my opinion. I agree with you 100%. Jericho is the ultimate opportunist out of all of these, even over Randy Orton.
Yeah,
because Randy Orton's just RKO out of nowhere. It's still really, really popular, but Jericho wins this match. He is the most diabolical person on this list right now. Like, to be completely honest with you, I agree with you. Jericho wins this match, and all the fans are angry because of all the other star power in this ring.
Not to mention, man, you think of the freaking chemistry between him and Shawn, that rivalry they had in 2003, starting from the Rumble and until WrestleMania 19 was crazy. And that match was a freaking banger. They work really well together.
They do. See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, Hulk Hogan would be out of the ring bloody because that's the only way he's going to lose. That's the way
he's not taking the fall.
Right. Then Randy Orton would catch Jericho, with an RKO, and then Shawn Michaels would catch him with Sweet Chin Music, and Shawn Michaels will win. However, Jericho ain't getting caught up in no RKO in that situation. He going to fall down, roll out the ring. That's what
Yep.
It ain't gonna happen, or else he'll do a backbreaker and say, he's not taking that at that point. Like, he's just not. So
yeah, that would be some crazy stuff.
Like, I wouldn't doubt it. But I agree. I think Jericho wins this match. You talk about diabolical, man. Jericho, when we talk about the greats of all time, top 5, very few people talk about Jericho, and that's crazy talk. Like, Jericho's the man. I mean, like, he was the first undisputed champion, and in one night beat The Rock and Stone Cold. That was the star power that he had. So let's not underestimate how big that was, going through those two superstars to unify the titles. It was Jericho wins this match.
That era of him in that picture was almost like his best era. Like, right before he trimmed his hair like stupid short. Like, he was like at his peak, I feel like, performance-wise then.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But the list Jericho was great, too.
I liked it. I liked it when he went on that hiatus for like 2 or 3 years, and then you started seeing these vignettes on Raw. It was like the little freaking codes on the screen, save us, save us, save us. And then popped up Y2J on the screen, kind of like paying homage to his original debut in 2000.
Yeah, so that was, not only was that brilliant on his part, because you take a couple year hiatus, you come back and you're instantly the biggest star again, winning titles. Like, that's how big he was. But then he got to spend 2-3 years doing his rock band, which is something which was his other passion. He got to tour Japan and all that. But yeah, Save Us Jericho was really cool. People really, really enjoyed that. Absolutely, that's just how I think that would finish right there. It was completely awesome.
Question though, they got Randy Orton on this screen. What is your favorite like persona of his? Because he's got like 3 or 4 like eras. So you got like Rookie Randy, you got like Evolution Randy, you got Legend Killer Randy, and then you got like Corporate Randy, and obviously you got who he is now, or you got Bald-Headed Randy, who's just a menace altogether. I feel like you would probably go with like Bald-Headed Randy.
No, actually, go, buddy. I would actually go with Legend Killer Randy, because at that moment, he was the most vicious that he was. And not only was he a heel at that point, but I really like heels who don't back down. Like, those are my favorite heels, the ones that, I'm a heel, but like, I'll fight you right now. And that's the kind of guy he was. Like they would talk shit to him, and he would just come out and he would just do it. Like, he didn't back down. He never hid, never had interference from the outside. You know what I mean? That was the best Randy Orton.
He was putting on bangers with legends too, like Taker and Shawn and freaking Mick Foley. And it was just really freaking cool to see him living out that persona, being a legend killer, just taking people out left and right. I thought that was a really cool character.
Yeah, it really was. It was by far the best Randy Orton. So while we're at it, we're still waiting on James. We've done best era of Jericho and best era of Orton. So let's do best era of Hulk Hogan. Like, that, so many big spots for this guy.
Man, that's hard, because it's like, okay, you could pick the obvious one and be like, oh, well, as soon as he hit the scene as Hulkamania in the 80s, obviously he blew up the entire wrestling industry into what it is now. You want to give credit where it's due. You could also give credit to when he came back to WWE in the early 2000s around WrestleMania 18. But I'm sorry, his NWO gimmick with WCW, like, the fact that turn happened the way it happened and nobody's seen it happen, it was so organically cool. Like, you just can't beat it, because nobody thought he could pull off being a heel. Nobody would ever thought he was going to be a heel, because he was this larger than life character. Like you always say, eat your cereal, your Wheaties, whatever like that. and he lived it, man. Like, you hated it. You wanted to hate him because it was just the complete opposite of what he was, but it was so believable and it was so annoying, but at the same time, you didn't want to stop watching because it's like, man, like, I want to see what else he's going to do. What else is he going to do? Is he going to spray paint on somebody's back this time? He's going to spray paint the belt. They're going to jump somebody in the locker room. Like, but I will say when he came back to WWE and he flipped back face, like he brought the yellow and red back, I really liked that because they ended up putting the title back on him. I think he won the tag titles a couple times with Edge. Like, I thought I liked that one too.
So the thing about Hulk Hogan, right? The reason Hulk Hogan is the GOAT, number one greatest of all time. And a lot of people, that's a hard pill to swallow because of some of the things that he has said over the past. But so do the other ones. It just ain't came to light. Let's just be honest. Like, there's people they're not telling us, but he was the number one face of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan in the 80s was the number one face of all time. I promise you. I lived it. There's never been a bigger face. And Hollywood Hulk Hogan, there's never been a bigger heel. Mm-hmm. He was number one in both because the term was so iconic, like you said. Hollywood Hulk Hogan is the greatest heel of all time. Hulkamania 80s is the greatest face of all time. He is both. He is the greatest of all time. However, that's not the answer to the question. The answer to the question is which phase of Hogan was the best. Hollywood Hulk Hogan by far. Mm-hmm. I liked Hulkamanias. Like, that's cool. I love Hulk Hogan came out. He saved everybody. But when Hulk Hogan turned bad, that's when I actually liked Hulk Hogan because even though the NWO was around, like, Hulk Hogan would beat your ass every single match and they wouldn't come in and interfere. He was a great heel. He would just come out there and he was huge and he would just beat you up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the greatest character he had, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, because like you said, when he was the greatest face, they're like, no way he could pull off being a heel. It can't happen. Like, they tried it with Stone Cold. He couldn't even do it. Like, you can't do it with somebody that big. Not only did he do it, he did it better than anyone has ever done it. Like it was just hot. Like, Hollywood Hulk Hogan was top tier Hulk Hogan.
And it's the way they turned him. It's not like he just woke up one day and started wearing black and white. And I know we're going to get further into it at some point, but like the way they turned him, because literally this is in days that me and you can relate, that kids can't relate. You didn't really have the internet. You had kayfabe. There's a lot of things you weren't aware of. So when he turned, one, nobody thought that he was going to come out. He comes out, and the way that he turns heel was completely unexpected, off script, everything. And everybody's like, oh, snap. Like, what the just happened, bro? Like, what you mean? Why'd you do that?
So I couldn't agree more. So when he turned heel, right? So Andre the Giant turning heel was way better. No, I disagree. It was really big because I lived that too. Like, I actually watched that happen in real time. But Andre the Giant wasn't beloved face like Hulk Hogan was. So I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't way better because of it was Andre the Giant. It just wasn't as impactful.
It wasn't as impactful to the business.
Correct. Impactful to the business because, to your point, Hulk Hogan, like the third member of the NWO, right? There was Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and then there were 3 WCW out there. And then, like, they started beating up. They got the best of all 3 of them, started beating them up. Then Hulk Hogan comes out. He's like, oh, shit. Like, he's coming out. Now the NWO's in trouble. Now Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are in trouble. They scatter out of the ring when he gets in there. And he turns around, he looks at everybody because he's soaking in the moment. I don't know if y'all understand like what was happening there because he was looking at the crowd.
He's like, man, are they gonna buy it? Or I remember he said, he's like, man, I'm either gonna sink or swim. Like, this is either gonna take me off or it's gonna bury me. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. So and he's sitting there and he's looking at the crowd, and in that moment he's thinking, I am the most beloved wrestler ever. And they're fixing to lose their minds. And this is the last moment I'm ever going to be loved again. He understood that, you know, and then he leg dropped the Macho Man and the legend was born. So best era of Shawn Michaels. Real quick, because we got somebody backstage.
Like, I'll be honest with you. He put on banger after banger before he left. Like, obviously, he had some demons he had to deal with. It's probably his best era of winning. But his best matches and best storytelling, you almost got to say his second stint, because he put on bangers with everybody. He didn't even have to win. I mean, the guy only had to win the world title one time in the first Elimination Chamber. And after that, I mean, he made every match he was in good. Look at all the Manias after that. 19 with Jericho, banger. 20 with Benoit and Hunter, banger. 22 with Vince McMahon, 23 with Cena, banger. The freaking back-to-backs of The Undertaker, bangers. Like, everybody talks about how great he was, like, going into the Attitude Era, and he was. But to see him come out of his demons and what he was battling and come back and just be a badass, dude. Like, didn't even have to win any gold. He barely won any titles. I think he won the tag titles a couple times, and he won the big gold. But he just, what he contributed to the business in his second stint, I feel like was more impactful to me.
Shawn Michaels wins the Fatal 4. So I will summarize mine real quick. The best era of Shawn Michaels, you want to say DX because that's when he really took over the industry. But to me, the best era of Shawn Michaels is when he kicked Marty Jannetty and then threw him through the window and then came out as a singles competitor because he put on bangers with Razor. He put on bangers with Bret Hart, like 60-minute Ironman match, bangers with just everybody, legend after legend. That's my take. But let's go ahead and introduce our last co-host, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of things.
Rocking up a cool deep tops on that Z. I was passing you, swerving with you on the passenger side. Shout it, let's ride. Rim still spinning, so shout it, let's glide. She asking me why I don't get it.
I seen you dancing, girl. I seen you dancing.
Yes, sir. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, man?
Hey, ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. You know, Monday Night Raw is on Netflix, so it gives, well, to say in more ways than one, Netflix and Raw.
Excellent, man. So you missed, like, I know you got a little late because work ran late. Cool, we understand. So we added that who wins this Fatal 4 before you got here, so we knew we'd have to have a subject to wait. You actually missed a great improvised segment that we had. Like it was an absolute fun discussion with everything. And then it transitioned to what was your favorite era of those wrestlers? By the way, that's got to be a show. That's got to be a show. We got to pick 10 and do our favorite era of them because that was fun right there. That was really fun.
Oh, for sure. And I'll say this. To answer your question, it's Shawn Michaels, and it's not even close.
Wow.
I mean, like that was my original take too, bro.
I mean, look, all the wrestlers that were shown on there, Hulk Hogan, Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, they're all great in their own way. You know, Randy Orton is a great wrestler. He really developed over time after his time with Evolution, and he also really developed on the mic as well. Hell, arguably his best rivalry was with John Cena, and it's literally between him, Cena, or him and The Undertaker. So,
right. Yep.
But Hulk Hogan, I mean, he was the man of the 80s. He was the golden child. He was everybody that every kid wanted to be growing up. You know, hey, take your vitamins, drink your milk, lift some weights, say your prayers, all that stuff. And, it's not even close. And Chris Jericho, awesome guy. Awesome wrestler. Great on the microphone. Probably the only guy that could really stand toe-to-toe with The Rock on the microphone of all people. But look, I've been saying this for so long, and I'll say it again. Undertaker went on a podcast and said, hey, when Shawn went to singles, this dude could have had a wrestling match with a broomstick and still somehow turn it into a 5-star match while coked out of his mind you.
He was on his Marty Jannetty-ish.
Yeah, he was.
You for picking Shawn Michaels, bro, you just made the list, bro. You just made the list. You made the list.
Bro, Chris Jericho's The List should not have been that good.
Shout out to the over 50 people watching us on X right now. So
heck yeah.
Appreciate that. With that being said, though, let's watch a little something that will transition us into what we're going to talk about tonight. man, that was awesome. So, we're going to get into the meat of things. I'm pulling up my list. Brandon, you want to tell them what tonight's topics are and what we can expect? We don't have to do the list. We'll do the list as we go. But let them know, like, kind of what we finna do.
Yeah, so this is a new segment we came up with. Top fives are cool, and we can do that all day, every day. But I felt like this was a cooler way because we always go off on a tangent discussing like this big time topic. And I thought, well, when I make it like a deep dive, so each episode of this, we pick a topic. Like, for instance, today is like the best and worst of WCW. So you're going through like maybe the best characters, the worst characters, maybe the worst booking decision, best company decision, best storyline, worst wrestler, stuff like that. Because you get to touch on a lot more avenues like you do the top fives, but you get to talk about a lot more. And I feel like it gets a lot more interesting. So if this does really good, we got a lot more of these we can do too.
Yeah, and so many ways we can do this. I mean, like we could just deep dive Manias and deep dive Royal Rumbles, and like if it works out well, we'll go with that. So topic number one, what is it going to be, Brandon?
Going to be best. This is not wrestler, but best character in WCW history. So there's a big difference between wrestling and character. They could be a really good character, might not be a great wrestler. So,
yeah, definitely. Start us off, Brandon. Who is the best character?
I'm a hop pretty much on the last discussion we just had, man. Best character, in my opinion, in this era was Hollywood Hogan. Like from inception to creation, to where it went all the way through. Now, obviously, we had some ups and downs along the way that we're going to talk about, but the fact that he was able to flip from face to heel the way he did and captivate the audience he did, and literally all in 10 seconds, piss off the exact same fans you had in Captivation and ride that high for an additional, 3-4 years until the company went down. Dude, come on, man. You love to hate him. You didn't know what you were going to expect. He just always kept everybody on the edge of his seats.
Yeah, I agree. Same question, James.
I mean, Hollywood Hulk Hogan is a great pick. I mean, there's so much to choose from. You know, you got Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but as far as characters go, I'm going to have to go Bill Goldberg. That man was a character on his own. He was a literal superhero in WCW. Like, you know, he comes out, you hear the crowd chanting Goldberg. He's being escorted by security, for crying out loud. Then when he gets to the ramp, standing in the pyro, like, this dude got you so hyped when he was coming out, like you wanted to run through a brick fucking wall.
His theme song was epic. Dun, dun.
Goldberg.
But he was like the perfect character for a kid. He was just badass and he just beat up everybody. Oh my gosh, he's freaking huge. He's picking people up like this and doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, no, for sure. Like, he was explosive, and just, oh man, like there's not enough good things to say about him or about his
Bret Hart. Ask Bret Hart. Right.
Yeah, definitely ask Bret Hart.
What you got, Andrew?
Me, I came down to two. And as much as I told you Sting didn't deserve a push, Surfer Sting actually was one of the best characters that like actually carried the company in the early years before Hulk Hogan joined and Macho Man and all that. Him and Flair carried it. And Surfer Sting was the most loved character. Impactful in the early years, so it's hard not to choose him, but I didn't. I also chose Hollywood Hulk Hogan. As impactful as Sting was in the early years, he kept it fun, but Hogan took it to the next level. They beat for 3 years WWE head to head. I mean, it all because of Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking Bill Goldberg. I think he was a great character too. They did a good job. They pushed him well. But yeah, give me Hollywood Hulk Hogan. The heights that WCW went to after he turned heel, because it wasn't doing so well even when he was there in the red and yellow. But as soon as he went black and white, WCW won for years. So yes, give me Hollywood Hulk Hogan is best character in WCW history.
I ain't even gonna argue that.
when you brought up Sting, I'm like, oh, I'm wondering if you're gonna get James to come out of pocket again and come out the hat.
Hey, I was giving Sting his due.
Like, he's like, what is your problem, dude?
Hey, it was
him before.
Look, for me, it was really between Goldberg and Sting because, like, even in the bad years of WCW, he was still carrying the company.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And all right. So that was really cool. We'll do our second topic, and then we'll take a little break, and then we'll come back and we'll do the rest of them. We still got a lot of time here. But after we do this, I need to take a little break. We'll run our little commercial, and we won't be going long. I'll be going like 2 minutes. So with that being said, what's our second one, Brandon?
So we're doing all of our best first, and then we're going to transition to the worst. Because I feel like it's always good to get the good news first, and then you got to get the bad news, unfortunately. So this is going to be a topic. It's going to be best feud in WCW history. Now, you could go anywhere with this. You could go in the early years when they were bought from Crockett, or late 80s. You could go during Nitro era. You could really go anywhere with this. But a feud I felt like that was good no matter what was always Ric Flair and Sting. Like, Ric Flair and Surfer Sting was a really good rivalry, especially going into War Games and Starrcade and all that. I don't know. I really like Ric Flair's storytelling and how he can take anybody on a ride or whatever and do his thing.
Nice. James, best rivalry.
So, best rivalry, I'm going to have to go back to the early days of WCW when it was Dusty Rhodes, hard times, baby, hard times, and Ric Flair. Man, did those guys carry the company for so long. And had it not been for Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, we never would have gotten War Games.
Let me tell you something, baby.
Fucking exactly.
I love Dusty, bro.
Yeah. So, a couple of things I will say. Brandon and I did not correlate before this at all. At all. So it's crazy. So we did not. So as much as I said Sting was way too overpushed for so long, once again I agree with Brandon. We had the same answer.
So me and you are like me and him today.
Sting and Flair, like when you think WCW rivalries and you think WCW feuds and you think WCW in general, and it was the very last match as ever in WCW, ever. It was the last match owned under WCW brand. It was the biggest one. Even during Hollywood Hogan's run, Sting and Flair would come together occasionally, get on each other, and like ain't even close.
Without any build up either. They would just pop up.
Right. It ain't even close to me because it's always been there because Sting joined the Four Horsemen, and then he wasn't about that life, so he turned off. And that was huge. Like people don't understand. Ric Flair and Sting, by far, 100% is the greatest rivalry in WCW history, man. It was great.
Okay. I get all that.
I didn't see that coming. Because you made that face, and I'm like, okay, either he likes that or it's like the complete out of left field. So I'm like, I wonder where he's gonna go with that.
No, it's on my list. It's crazy. That's what I had to. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break. Hang around with us. We got tons more topics, tons more. So you're watching Legends of the Squared Circle only on the Villain Media Network.
Beetlejuice,
Hey,
what's
you
up?
snap nut.
What'd you call me?
Snap nut.
You know who you're talking to?
Yeah, you, snap nut.
It's Mr. Flatnut to you.
I don't think that's something that'll never get old anytime soon.
That's right.
Hey,
Welcome.
hey, Terry, you know where the champ is, baby. Come get some.
Hey,
I
bro.
know you want this title, baby.
If this episode goes good, maybe we could do an ECW deep dive at some point, because that'd be a really cool episode, too.
Hey,
Bro.
just heads up. We are 500 views, 37 minutes in.
Let's go.
Go.
2025 goals, baby.
Killing it out there. Lots of viewers too, man. Appreciate y'all being here. X, I know y'all love me out in X. I appreciate everybody just watching. Where are your Olympic gold medals? That's
he did it with a broken freaking neck, okay? Gosh.
I know, and Percocets. Next subject.
That was good. That was good. That was good.
That was good. I can't even lie.
That was gold as a strap on his arm, bro. That was funny.
Yeah,
that was more golden than the big gold that Kurt Angle was holding.
There you go. So next is going to be best match in WCW history. Now you could go anywhere from this because honestly, the pay-per-views had great matches, but you had great matches on Nitro too. So you could really go anywhere with this.
That's right.
It's true.
I guarantee everybody because Brandon gonna go first because he always sets the tone. But I guarantee we do not have the same one here. No. I guarantee.
He guarantee. Now we might have damn near have all the rest right, but I'm pretty sure we're all gonna differ on this one. But WCW had a lot of memorable matches, so it's really hard to pinpoint that specific one. I have like a tie, but they're both really good. I don't know if anybody here's well, I know everybody here has watched at least one of these. The first one's obviously going to be the one that everybody calls on, and that's Halloween Havoc 97 with Ray and Eddie. I thought that was a really good storytelling match. So stole the show, honestly. It wasn't even the main event and felt like it was the main event. But my other one, man, they had an Owen Hart tribute match between Benoit and Bret Hart. Maybe one of the best technical matches of all time. If you haven't watched it, definitely go check it out. I feel like it's the best match from top to bottom. Not counting build up and like promos and all that, but just the match itself. Bash at the Beach was awesome. I love Bash at the Beach.
Was my favorite. I liked it more than Starrcade, for real.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep. James, best match. What you got?
So, as soon as I saw the topic of best match being talked about, I mean, look, you talk to any non-wrestling fan and like, hey, what's a match that'll get me into wrestling or WWE in general, regardless of what it is, ECW, WCW, WWE. All I gotta say is 1997 Halloween Havoc. Eddie versus Ray. It don't get much better than that. Because unfortunately at the time, WCW wanted to make sure that Ray was going to take off his mask. But Eddie being the big brother to Ray, you know, he knew what the luchador mask was all about. He's like, hey, I'm going to tear your mask, but I'm not going to tear it completely off.
Mm-hmm.
So that match did steal the show. And like, I'm surprised that two people on this show had the same greatest WCW match of all time. That was a good one, but not in my list. Nothing with Rey Mysterio is ever going to be in my list. But with that being said, I'm about to blow your mind because the greatest WCW match I ever saw, and it was the build up, and it was was a tag team match. So the greatest WCW match I ever saw, I was a kid. Like, we're talking pre-Razor Ramon. So Doom and Road Warriors, Doom being Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, and the Road Warriors being the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. It was such a big deal. This was the biggest tag team thing ever. And then they came together at Starrcade. And at Starrcade, they put on a pretty good match. Well, the very next night, no, I'm sorry. It was Bash at the Beach. No. Clash of Champions, y'all. Give me my mind. Y'all know what Clash of Champions is. It was a random pay-per-view that they would give you for free throughout the years. It was really cool thing for WCW to do. It would come on like TNT or something. And it was like 87, 88. I don't remember the exact year, but that one, because it culminated there. And the Road Warriors beat Doom. And Doom was undefeated like Bill Goldberg. Y'all didn't understand how that was doing. Doom had beaten something like 200 tag teams in a row, and they had the titles for like 2 years. And the Road Warriors, in their return, had been returned about 6 months at that point, started a feud, and then took the titles from them at Clash of the Champions. Man, that was crazy. And why that is so important, first of all, that match was a banger. 5-star match if I've ever seen one. Why that was so important, that started the trajectory of Ron Simmons breaking away from Doom and becoming a singles competitor, winning the title just a year later, the world title. That match meant so much. Road Warriors were taking the title off of them to return as their rightful place as number one, but it also put Ron Simmons as his rightful place as world champion because he deserved every bit of it. Just took out Vader. That shit was amazing. So that for me is that match.
In regards to him, all I'm gonna say is, damn.
Yes.
Hey, straight facts. So, straight from. Of course. Anyways, so straight from our boy Terry Walker, he sent me this earlier, and it's a poster of the fucking camera would focus. It's got Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, everybody from like the end of the golden era, but the start of the Attitude Era. I saw this like, bro, just hell to the fucking yeah, man.
Bang!
Yeah, that was a good one. So I just want to throw something in before we go into the next one, something that I've been wanting to say on the show. I just now remembered. When y'all did top 5 best entrances, I wasn't there.
The themes are, you wasn't there for top 5 entrance themes?
I don't think so. Not, top 5 entrances, not themes.
I don't think we did the entrances though.
I don't think
we did. Well,
no,
good.
I
didn't miss it, but I do want to throw this out there.
Oh,
like,
God,
my entrances is going to be Shawn Michaels, Zipline, and all that. That's my favorite.
Oh, entrances. Okay.
Yeah, but I just something that we talked about entrances before, and something that nobody threw out there. And I got to tell you, as much as I love Shawn Michaels' entrances, and they're my favorite, and they always will be, the most iconic entrance ever is Sandman. And it's not even close.
Yeah.
The music happened. He's up in the fucking crowd drinking beer, smashing it over his head. He's got a cane, and the crowd's just with him. And then the music,
come on, Roman.
Everybody's singing along with it. Like the
bro, the
crowd
only thing you need to do,
man.
I think it was ECW One Night Stand 05 or 06. Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman versus the Dudley Boys.
Yes.
That's all you need to know. Look that up. Look that entrance up. You will not be disappointed. To everybody that is tuning in and watching this right now, you will not be disappointed when you look that shit up.
Hey,
it was so.
Sandman is like one of the most underrated ECW guys ever.
Yeah,
yes,
he was the most relatable though. Like he was just that drunk dude, freaking. Like, I remember when they went to WWE. I remember there was a quick promo, or it was like a vignette. Vince was walking through the back, and he was walking past all the ECW guys, and he walks past Sabu. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And he walks past RVD. He's like, "What the hell are you doing there?" And he walks to freaking Sandman. And he's sitting there with a freaking newspaper, and he's looking. He's like, "What are you looking at?" Freaking drinks the beer, smashes it on his head, and Vince is like, "What did I get myself into?"
Like mid and late 2000s was insane.
I'm just saying, the entire crowd singing Metallica to his entrance, like it's the best entrance of all time. The way it starts out in the crowd and then comes out. I just want to throw that out there real quick. Yeah. Like I mean, Sandman, man, he was that dude. He deserves to be in the discussion of top 10 all time. He really does. Because he was the best ECW character in my opinion. But anyway, next one. I'm sorry I threw that in there. For some reason I was like, I want to talk about it.
So the next one
is Jey Uso.
You eating somewhere?
Probably.
Yeah, probably is eating somewhere. We got Sammy Uso. We got Jimmy Uso out of here. The new bloodline's getting involved in this Tribal Chief matchup. But where the hell is Jey Uso?
This next one's gonna be the best segment in WCW history. So plenty of iconic moments. I've got a 1A and 1B. First of all, let's just go to the first episode of Nitro. In the middle of what? The freaking Mall of America.
Yeah, Mall of America, Minnesota.
Mall of America, Minnesota.
Lex Luger showed up.
And guess who comes out? Lex Luger, who's still under WWE contract at the time, out of nowhere shows up, and everybody's like, whoa, I gotta tune in. Like, wait, he ain't supposed to be on here. But I'm gonna give you another moment like that that really sent the trajectory of Nitro over the top. Let's talk about when Rick Rude is on a WWE Monday Night Raw taping, because they obviously were taping back then. And as Raw is airing on the air, guess who walks out the entrance on Nitro? Rick Rude at the same exact time. Crazy. That was unheard of. And I feel like the NWO obviously helped get it over the top, but that was a really cool moment that I feel like it really gave them the edge. Like, oh my God. Because they're just doing stuff to push the envelope at that point. It's like, man, you got guys showing up on your show. They ain't even supposed to be there. Like, I don't know what to expect.
So what happened was they terminated his contract after that taping of Raw. And so he went immediately to WCW, signed a contract, and Nitro was live at that point, and Raw was not. It was taped.
Exactly.
So he signed an immediate 60-day contract and went on there. And it was a big moment. I agree. And what's even funnier is they were so butthurt at WWF that the next week they brought out Harvey Whippleman. And he did the same promo that Rick Rude did every single week. And then they came out and beat him up. And Triple H threw him out of the ring. He goes, well, that was hard to take care of.
They did a lot of stuff like that, though. You remember when they were trying to, like, USA Network ended up making them canon. You remember they were making them stupid WCW vignettes, making fun of Ted Turner and all that? And USA's like, hey, bro, like, we're cool with Ted. Like, you can't do all that, bro. You got to stop doing that.
That was good. I remember that. They sitting in the office and it was smoky in the background.
It was like, hey, how do we take out WWF? And they got like a freaking clipboard and they're going through all the. It was funny.
And they got Hulk Hogan dressed up like he's 80 years old. And like that shit was funny. They did a good job. It was good. But James, best segment.
Oh man, there's so many segments that really come to mind, but I'm honestly, this might be one of the most underrated segments in my honest opinion, but I'm really going to have to go with Chris Jericho's 1004 holds.
Man, that shit was funny. He brought out that list because he was beefing with Dean Malenko, the man of 1,000 holds. He said, I'm the man of 1,004. And then he just had his paper. And
he just kept going.
Yeah.
They went to a commercial break and he still kept fucking going.
It was like Bull Nelson, Boston Crab, Rough Crab. I was rolling. That was a good one. I forgot about that, man. That's definitely up there.
I'm like, damn, that segment, what can I think of? And then it finally hit me, the fucking meme of Chris Jericho with the list, and not that list, but in his WCW days, I'm like, holy shit, it was right there in front of me the entire time.
That was a really good one.
Why he did Dean Malenko like that, bro?
Right.
Why he did my dog like that?
So I have 1A and 1B too, and it's crazy because I told y'all last week Sting didn't deserve the push that he got, and he still didn't. But one of the biggest segments ever is when Sting came out with the NWO and they introduced him as the newest member, and he was wearing the fake mask, and then he put the mask and started beating everybody's ass. That was a memorable segment. Like, that shit was funny because he put off the face mask and it was really Sting. And they're like,
you're like, wait a minute, you ain't supposed to be here.
That's right. And Alex Wright and well, Alex Wright was that dude. But for me, the other one, 1B, and probably a little higher on the list than that, is when out of nowhere Scott Hall comes up and shows up at
over the barricade.
Man, that was crazy. He was in the crowd just sitting there and like, what the hell? And then he gets out and he goes up and sits where Eric Bischoff and Tony Schiavone are. Man, that was the most iconic segment in WCW.
It set the tone.
That's when everything turned.
It set the tone. Everybody's like, oh shit, well, why Scott Hall? And then you see Kevin Nash like, wait a minute, bro. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, what's going on?
And I lived that. So the thing was, because there was no internet or anything like you said, so kayfabe was real. So the thing that was out on the streets was WWF was invading WCW.
Yep.
And as a believing kid, because I'm like 9, right? And you're like, oh my God, WWF is invading WCW. Like it was brilliant.
Oh
is
shit,
what it was.
that should have been a 1B right there.
Brilliant.
DX invading WCW.
But that would be a WWF segment, not WCW.
Well, I mean, they were on WCW's turf, but at the same time, also yes.
And but yeah, no, that was a big deal when they showed up. I love it. But that Chris Jericho and that shit was hilarious. I'll give it to you. I was dying because he was just like full Nelson, half Nelson, Boston Crab, half Crab, and he just kept up. It was great.
I mean, the length of that list, and he's still going. It was just like, my God, this might be one of the best segments that WCW has seen. Like the fact that they're still trying to push the NWO down our throat, but at the same time, it's like we're still getting these guys to be able to shine and do their thing and everything like that.
Well, WCW knew he was a superstar. They just Hogan wasn't about that life.
They weren't going to put over. They weren't going to put over the smaller guys.
No,
they were all about the big guys. They weren't putting him over at all.
Hey, that's the beauty of Paul Heyman. He saw the talent in the younger guys. You know, Chris Benoit, obviously Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio,
and
Eddie Guerrero,
and all those guys were in ECW too. All those guys were in ECW. Jericho was in ECW back in the day too. So I mean,
yes, he was.
Yeah, and then so the cruiserweight was a big deal though. Like that's one thing WCW did well. Like the cruiserweight champion felt like a big time champion, so that was really cool. And Chris Jericho held that shit a lot. All right, what we got next, Brandon?
This is the last topic on the best, and I feel like it should be the best conversation. Best wrestler. When I say best wrestler, you could look at it just from a wrestling perspective. You could look at it from best performance perspective. Me, I've got Ric Flair, man. The face of WCW, whether it was on the mic, in the ring, it didn't matter. Come on, man. Didn't have to be the most flashy. Dude, he could just sell anything. He could sell you a $2 steak for $20. It don't matter. He'll sell you. And his matches were always top tier. His feuds were top tier. I got Ric Flair, man.
I got you. What you got, James?
So this is probably the first time I'm actually gonna agree with Brandon on this one. Ric Flair, easily. You know, I mean, look, the dude. Oh boy, to make a movie quote from one of my favorite movies from the 90s, aka Tommy Boy, Ric Flair could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. That's how good he was on the mic, in the ring. I mean, this dude was selling shit like the rent was due, and it wasn't even close.
All right, so y'all both go with Ric Flair. I mean, Ric Flair's iconic and all, but I mean, let's be honest here. Buff Bagwell, no.
That was gonna be blasphemy right there. Oh my God!
I was like, who?
Whoa, partner! Whoa!
Oh, so this is a clean sweep. As much as you think Hollywood Hogan and Sting and all that, when you think WCW, you think Ric Flair, and that's just the reality of it. 16-time world champion, carried that company from beginning to end, literally from beginning to end. It's Ric Flair. Like it's a clean sweep, and it should have been a clean sweep when you're having this particular discussion. Nobody is as iconic from beginning to end as Ric Flair.
He brought them the notoriety, though. All the work he was doing in the AWA and NWA, and for him to come over with that belt, instantly freaking put them in the spotlight. Instantly threw them into the fire. Like, he brought them so much notoriety and so much popularity. And what he was able to do is stay relevant, even when he wasn't even as much an in-ring competitor, towards the end when he would reform the new Four Horsemen with Benoit and all them, to where he was having matches towards the end with Sting, all the feuds he was having with Eric Bischoff, like, Flair was just well-rounded, and he was the face and heart of WCW, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Also, Ric Flair is one of the greatest of all time. Even when he was like commissioner or co-owner, when he was co-owner.
I love that, bro. When he showed up, he comes in, he's like, you know what that means? What? We're partners. And he's like, whoa. What you mean we're partners? And then they had the first ever draft, which was so freaking cool. and he
Yeah,
drafts the Undertaker. He drafts the Undertaker to Raw, and he's like, "Whoa!" Undertaker's like, "What? What you mean I'm going to Raw? No."
Yeah, no, it was, man. Co-owner Ric Flair was just beginning and end. Ric Flair's the greatest. So now we go to the dark side.
Yes, sir.
So what's our first dark side topic?
Let's just get straight to the meat and potatoes, man. Worst wrestler in WCW history. Now, Andrew's probably not going to agree with me on this one because I've heard him speak on this guy a couple times. He kind of likes him. I don't think he's like a favorite of yours. I'm going Disco Inferno, bro. Worst.
Ooh.
That's crazy talk. Disco Inferno was cruiserweight champion, TV champion, and had a pretty good following. I don't agree with that at all. But this is your list, not mine. But yeah, no, that's crazy talk.
I could, if you want, I could have put La Parka if you want.
I mean, La was cool too, man.
Okay. Let me be honest with you. When I made this, this was an attempt to piss you off. This one right here.
I see that.
I'll just be honest. So this was kind of a wash. I just wanted to get your reaction.
No way it was Disco Inferno, man. He was entertaining, man. And La Parka, man, I know that you Latino wrestlers and all that, but La Parka was really cool. He came out with the skull shit, and then he always bashed somebody in the head with a chair. He did his little shuffle, man. I like La Parka.
Let's go with Shockmaster.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Rey Mysterio. No, go ahead, James. I'm sorry. I did not choose Rey Mysterio, by the way.
No, I don't. Look, it wouldn't surprise me if you chose Rey Mysterio. But man, this dude is a 2-for-1 special because as good as his character was, his look, he was explosive. He was good. It was something fresh and good aside from the NWO for WCW. But the worst wrestler, I got to give it to Goldberg. And I mean, it really goes back to when William Regal was told, "Hey, you got a 5-minute match with Goldberg. On top of that, just do your thing. Be technical. Go out there, try to serve him and everything like that." Regal did everything in his power to try to have a good match, and Goldberg was, oh God, how do I even put this? I don't think there's enough words in the English language dictionary to say just how stiff Goldberg was out there going against a guy like William Regal.
So James makes 2 points here. If you notice earlier, James said Goldberg was the best character. And then he turns around and says he was the worst wrestler. So that tells you how big of a character he was, because he was an ass wrestler, bro. He was just doing his power moves, and that was it. But James makes his point very, very strong, actually, for best character, because when you're that bad in the ring, and he's right, William Regal tipped him up. That shit was funny.
Regal was just technical, and Goldberg was like, "Wait, what the fuck you doing? I've never done this before.
Why you twisting my leg here? You bending my neck this way? Like, what's going on?"
I get it. Right. You're an All-American. You played college football. You did some time in the NFL. But if you can't do something in the ring with a technical wrestler, the fuck you doing?
Well, because that wasn't his MO. His MO was a 2-minute match, mop them up, move on. Terrible Correct. Wrestler, but it actually gives credibility to your pick as best character, because if you're that bad in the ring, then you gotta have something.
And his character thankfully backed it up.
Yeah. So for me, worst wrestler was the Yeti. Like, that shit was dumb as fuck, man. I mean, it was bad.
Oh, I got another one. What about freaking Nash as the Wizard?
Who?
Remember when Kevin Nash came back as the Wizard? That freaking big plain outfit. I'm sorry, I stole your thunder,
but yeah, no, definitely the Yeti. That was
next to you. Damn.
I think it just pissed me off. Like, what is this? And then he's just like, it was so dumb, man.
Bro, where's your co-host?
But that's what I got. So we have different best and worst, different. But you'll see why, because they are brilliant. I love the next 4. I can't wait. Go ahead with the next one, Brandon.
Next one is worst push. So worst push to me is them pushing someone that they had no business pushing, in my opinion. I've got David Flair on this. They had no business pushing David Flair as much as they were. He was horrible. They couldn't get anything off the ground with him. Even having his last name being Flair, you think that would help elevate him to a standpoint? You think it would elevate him to a point where like, oh, he's going to draw an audience. It couldn't even get off the ground, unfortunately.
And unfortunately, it could not.
So, yeah, David Flair was ass. What do you have, James?
So, I already know I'm about to catch some heat for this. Oh, man. I might need a glass of full bottle of wine, shot of Tito's vodka, Truly White Claw. Man, I don't even know if I'm ready for this heat right now. But, man, the worst push. Fight with a brick wall. It's got to be Bret Hart.
Wait, what?
The dude. No, hold up. He was WWE's top guy for so long. Came into WCW where he signed a bigger contract and gets pushed as a mid-carder?
So I see what you're saying. So I have a push like that too, but that's not the question asked. Who did they push that they shouldn't have? I have one for. Hold on, I have one for each too, James, because I didn't know what he meant either.
Yeah,
so I have one that they should have pushed and one they should have.
I should have clarified. That's my fault. I was throwing a list together.
Well, so right now, in my honest opinion, yes, I will say Bret Hart because he was pushed as a mid-carder. You know, he won the WCW United States Championship 4 times, but only reigned the WCW World Heavyweight Championship twice. Like, bro, this was WWE's top guy. He won the championship 5 freaking times. Look, I get it. He got screwed in Montreal and everything like that, but obviously he's looking for a fresh start. This is one of, if not the greatest technical wrestlers on walking God's green earth. And you push him as a mid-carder, like, oh yeah, we're going to make sure that he wins the United States Championship 4 or 5 times and then give him his flowers. By then, he was already out of the prime of his career.
It's crazy that he didn't even want to be there. He didn't want to leave. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
So there's 2 points to what you just said, and then I'll get to mine real quick. Eric Bischoff, in an interview, admitted he had no idea how to use Bret Hart. Like, none whatsoever. And 2, like, a lot of guys in that locker room felt like he had to put in his time in WCW before he just came in and started doing that. So I think that's what happened.
Okay.
But the question at hand was pretty much who did they push that they really shouldn't have? And I'll tell you, Brandon expected me to say Sting because I said he was shouldn't have pushed him for so many years, but really Bill Goldberg, man. That guy had no reason being a superstar. I understand he was a larger than life character, but God, he was just, for me, he was boring in the ring. He was just boring. Everything about him was boring except his entrance. His entrance was cool, but everything, he couldn't wrestle. He did 3 moves and the match was over in 2 minutes, and it's crazy. But because I wrote one for each, because I didn't know either, Brandon. But Jericho, man, you had Chris fucking Jericho and you didn't push him. Crazy talk to me.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's a good point too. That's a really good point. His freaking stuff he was coming up was, remember his little security guard that had like the little thing taped on his chest?
Yes.
Yes. No, like for real, he had a whole bunch of like fatty McButter.
He was in his bag, bro. Jericho was in his bag. And then
he's like going to different areas of the arena. It's like, wait, hold up, this ain't it. This isn't the entrance ramp or anything.
Oh man,
God damn it!
You remember, I think, didn't he get locked out of the arena one night? He was supposed to be in a match, and he got freaking locked out, like, right before his match, and he couldn't get back into the arena. I'm going to have to find that clip. He got locked out. Because he was trying to find, he was trying to find the entrance to the arena or something, and he walked out a door, and as soon as it closed shut, it freaking locked, and he couldn't get back.
So I remember one where he lost the Cruiserweight title to Eddie Guerrero, and then he fucking freaked out. Jumped out of the ring, grabbed a chair, started slamming the post of the wrestling ring, and just threw a big tantrum. Man, that shit was like, Chris Jericho was the best. No doubt about that. So next one. This is the one that I wanted to hear from y'all the most because for me, this was a no-brainer. But go ahead, Brandon.
My honest opinion, this is the thing.
You gotta say the subject.
This next subject is going to be the worst company decision. So you could go anywhere with this. When you talk about the demise of WCW, there are a lot of topics that it wasn't just one singular thing. You had a number of sequence of events that led into a domino effect, which ended up leading to its downfall. I've got a 1A and B, but you could really go anywhere. I don't think anything's the wrong answer. I've obviously got revealing Raw results on Nitro. I think that was a horrible decision. Very horrible business decision to try to do that. I guess trying to further bury them. And not even just that, man. The crazy overpaid contracts that Turner was giving these guys. Even the guys who weren't even main event guys were making almost six figures, if not more. Like, they were tying themselves so thin in money. They weren't investing their money more into the project itself. Or like we said before, not investing the money into the guys who could really draw money, but you're not pushing. Thus tying yourself thin. And then when the TV deal runs out and they kick Ted Turner out, guess what? Now you're screwed. Like, you don't have the money to freaking get on another network.
Yep. And you said you had a 1B?
Oh, no, I said that, and it was revealing those Raw results.
Oh, I got you. I got you. What about you, James?
I mean, even with the worst company decision, the worst booking decision, this could be a top 5 list on its own, or 2 separate top 5 lists, because WWE was coming up with the Attitude Era, you know, the middle fingers, the Rock with his catchphrases, DX is suck it. And then thank you, Tony Schiavone, for making sure that wrestling fans are going to make sure, oh, hey, that's what's going to happen? Oh, we got to tune in and see that. But again, another thing I'm probably going to catch some heat with, one of the worst company decisions was Eric Bischoff and everybody backstage. Oh, hey, Rey Mysterio, we know you're good and everything like that. You're a high flyer and, you know, you got something going on. How about we remove your mask, despite the fact that we don't know how important it is to the luchador wrestling scene?
Don't rag on Andrew's favorite wrestler, dude. He's going to take that personally.
I mean, it was
for real. It's like, okay, so we shave this good-looking girl's head bald, or we make this Mexican wrestler take his mask off and see what he looks like.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, what are you doing? Do you realize how sacred a mask is to a luchador wrestler?
Right.
Clearly you didn't, because you made him do it anyways. And that's why you got to give props to Eddie Guerrero, because he was making sure that he was looking out for Rey Mysterio. And yeah.
So with that being said, before I reveal mine, I have 1A and 1B as well. That's actually very common in luchador mask versus mask matches. So I guess I see what you're saying, because, you know, he did lose his mask and his mask is iconic, but that's not out of the norm for luchadors. Like, but they lose their pride when they lose their mask too. So I 100% see what you're saying as well. But for me, my 1A and 1B, worst business decision one was bringing Bret Hart over in the first place. Like, you didn't need him. Like, he brought nothing to the table for what they were doing. So that's just weird as fuck. Like, you shouldn't even, like, you were trying to spite WWE by stealing him, and then you didn't need him. You didn't know how to use him. That was stupid. But for me, the worst decision ever, and it's what I think broke WCW, is putting the strap on David Arquette. That is the worst business decision ever. And for me, like, it's a no-brainer, man. That shit was crazy.
Yep.
I'll agree with that.
Goon
smacked James with a chair in my
Y'all remember when DDP dressed up as La Parka?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Hey, bring it on, Terry, because to quote Conor McGregor, the double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I will tell you, man, that shit was cool when DDP was, he diamond cutted that guy. He's like, what the hell? He took the mask off. But that was a really good discussion. Yeah, David Arquette, that was stupid.
Yes. So next, which should kind of correlate with that, is going to be the worst booking decision. So pretty much the worst setup for a match or the worst match result, in my opinion. You could go anywhere with this. I've got another 1A and 1B. This is going to be the lesser of the two. When Sting should have beat Hogan, and everybody thought Sting was going to beat Hogan, and Hogan was just not going to go over for Sting, and he ended up winning anyway. All that build up for absolutely nothing. just for them to kill that. But this isn't even the worst one. You were talking about, well, no. Hey, yeah, you're right. But the worst one is David Arquette, dude. I'm sorry. There's no way, because you could say even Vince Russo having the title, because he had the title too. But having Arquette wear that belt was that was the nail in the coffin for me. That was just pretty much like, we really don't care. I can put the strap on whoever I want, whenever I want. It has no meaning. It has no monetary value. We're just going to put it on him, and who cares?
So before we go to James, you mentioned Sting and Hogan. So Sting actually did win that match because they restarted it.
Yeah.
Remember? So what happened was Bret Hart came out, we're not having no fast count. And actually, I don't know if you watched the behind the scenes with Hogan. So Hogan was actually miffed because Hogan's like, that's not how this was supposed to happen. He was supposed to kick out. And the ref was just like, and he was counting slow. There was no fast count at all because it was not supposed to happen. But Sting got it mixed up, and Sting even admitted, he goes, I got the timing wrong. I thought it was the time, and it was supposed to be later in the match. So
even Hogan admitted it.
And he thought the fast count was coming. He's like, and he didn't fast count, and it just blew up, and it was stupid. Like the whole thing was just stupid. I agree with you 100%. But go ahead, James. I just wanted to point that out. That whole thing was just strange and weird.
No, I mean, it really was, and I really couldn't agree more. But the worst booking decision, I mean, I got a 1A and 1B as well. It's definitely not David Arquette winning the World Heavyweight Championship, or, Sting should have kicked out and everything like that. 1A, I got the finger poke of doom. Look, it's basically the fact that, the NWO has been shoved down our throats so many times. Now, in its heyday, yes, it was something fresh. It was revitalizing. On top of that, it was like, hey, it's cool to root for the bad guy. It's cool to be the bad guy and everything like that. But, I mean, when it came to, like, Kevin Nash being a part of, I want to say, the new NWO, the Red and Black Wolfpack and everything, and Hogan was essentially on the outside looking in, but still a part of the black and white NWO. Oh, hey, how can we keep it fresh? Let's have Hogan and Nash go at it for the world title, and Hogan is just, boop, and Nash is basically going to lay down and act like nothing even freaking happened. But 1B, I got, what was it? I believe Bash at the Beach between Hulk Hogan and Jeff Jarrett, where Vince Russo was like, look, this is Hogan. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go down. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. But last second, he pulls his creative control bullshit, and it's like, no, I'm not passing on the title if that's how it's going to go down. And Vince told Jeff Jarrett to, hey, just lay down and make Hogan get the 3 count and everything. And then Hogan goes on a rant. Oh, this is how WCW is going to go, Russo. This is why the company's in the shitter, because of bullshit like that. And then Russo came out and did a promo like, hey, I'm sick and tired of these guys using creative control and everything like that. And, hey, in a way, he kind of had a point.
All right. Yeah, so I remember that. But Hulk Hogan was right in that scenario, man. Like you don't lose to Jeff Jarrett as Hulk Hogan like that. Like when Stone Cold got mad about losing the qualifying match to Brock Lesnar, he's like, wait a minute, you've got to build this up. Like I don't care about losing. I'll lose the strap, but like this deserves a story. And they weren't giving it a story. They were just trying to pass it on to Jeff. And it was strange. Like, I agree with you. That was a stupid booking from the beginning. I'm going to give you that one. That's way up there. Because that was dumb. It was like when Sting Hulk Hogan was supposed to win, and last minute Vince Russo's like, no, you can't beat Sting. So Hulk Hogan goes out there, he whispers in Sting's ear. He's like, he's changed everything at the last minute, and then Hogan lays down. And Sting lays on him 1, 2, 3 without a match. Like, yeah, Vince Russo was ass.
Yeah.
But for me, 1B is the Sting and Hogan thing. I already discussed it, so I won't go into it. But The big one was Hogan and Ultimate Warrior when they brought him back. Man, that shit was garbage. He comes out of nowhere, kicks a hole in the steel cage, like kicks a hole. I want y'all to fathom that he kicked a hole in the steel cage. He still couldn't wrestle. Like, rest in peace. Don't get me wrong. Great, like Goldberg, great character, could not do it in the ring. Kicks a hole in the cage. The whole thing was stupid, and the whole thing was just so Hogan could have that victory over him. So to repair what happened back in the day, and paid Ultimate Warrior highly to do it just for some old school vengeance for Hulk Hogan. Terrible booking.
Not to mention when they had made him disappear. They made the Ultimate Warrior disappear.
And Hogan messed up the flame. Like, the whole thing was stupid, just really bad.
Yeah. The next one, the last part of the worst, is going to be the worst storyline. A lot of bad storylines. Mine is a storyline, but more or less what made it the worst, in my opinion, is just the ending to it. And you touched on it. It's the finger pool of doom, but it was the fact that they had the NWO versus NWO storyline going, and they were building that up. And for them to end that Wolfpack era like that was horrible. Like, that made that entire storyline, like, it just made it a completely shit storyline because people were invested in it. People are like, man, I like the red and black. Man, we're going to finally see, like, these two against each other, just for him to go, boop. Like, damn, that's the easiest way to freaking pop my balloon. Like, this was a complete waste of time. Just horrible storyline. If you were going to end it like that from the start, like, you shouldn't have even did it to start with.
Yeah.
Correct. Terrible. I agree 100%. What about you, James?
Oh boy. So another thing I'm gonna get heat for, just the NWO in general. Now, like I said, and it's like when they first came up, it was something new. It was something that put WCW over the WWE. But over time, it was like, okay, well, we have these rising stars: Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Rey Mysterio, a lot of O's, I know. But hey, here's something you haven't seen before: the NWO again. And guess what? Instead of white and black, they're red and black. They have a new theme song that, Major League or professional athletes are using. Are you fucking kidding me? You can only go so far with that kind of fucking shit, and it adds so many people into that fucking thing. Like, what the hell?
I just don't know if I don't know if I'd say the NWO storyline as a whole was shit. I will agree with you, and they fumbled the bag, and they did a lot over the top stuff. I would just say that's probably the worst years.
It was like, what the fuck am I even watching right now?
Yeah,
like in its baby years, yes, it was awesome. It was fresh. It was something new, something that even Vince couldn't even think of if he was given 1,000 opportunities. And then on top of that, in 2002, when Hogan, Nash, and Hall are all out of their prime, oh hey, let's bring him in.
This dude James going on a tangent like The Rock, bro. He going in and like.
I'm just saying.
And if you swear,
what are you talking about? I am so confused. The NWO is the best storyline in WCW history.
I know what I'm talking about, and I know what I said.
It's the greatest storyline in WCW history.
But in its later years of WCW, it went to fucking shit. It was the all of WCW.
I would have said it would have been the worst ending to a storyline. I'll say that, especially like how it crashed and burned. I would say that.
Okay, cool. Like, this is your opinion, and like, it's crazy talk, but hey, I understand what you're saying. I do. The ending of it, the way they did it was crazy. But to say it was the worst storyline in WCW, it's the opposite. It's the best storyline in WCW. Anyway, I'm not here to argue.
Look, again, in its baby stages, it was goated. Again, you give Vince 1,000 opportunities, there's no way he comes up with something like that. The closest thing that actually rivaled it was D-Generation X, and it wasn't even close. As far as going towards the end of WCW, it was bullshit. It was like, oh, well, we got nothing new, but hey, here's the NWO.
Hey, NWO 2000 could have been cool, but it was too late.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, none of them wanted to wrestle on WCW Thunder. And that was when WWE brought in Thursday Night SmackDown.
But that was because Thunder was looked at like the bullshit show. Like they wanted to be, they wanted to be on primetime. Nitro was where the money was at.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, for me, I have 1A and 1B. 1B being, we already talked about it, the Undertaker, the Ultimate Warrior and Hogan. Like that was crazy. But the worst in WCW was by far the Dungeon of Doom. That shit was so ass, man. Kevin Sullivan, such a great historical wrestler. They made him the Mad Hatter, drew some weird eyebrows on him, come out fucking Yeti and shit. That shit was ass, man. Super ass. It was so ass. They had the Giant to try to make it solidify, but he was so big that he was in it for like 2 weeks and he's out there as a superstar by himself. That shit was stupid. Dungeon of Doom was just awful storyline, awful. And they were trying to play off the cartoony stuff of the 80s that WWF had done, but they just garbage, hot garbage. Dungeon of Doom is the worst faction. I know we ain't done that yet, but they gonna be number one if we ever do worst factions of all time. That shit was super ass.
Kevin,
storyline.
I would say
I think the Blue World Order would have something to say about that.
I would say something, and this is different, but we going back to like a booking decision. Let's talk about how Kevin Sullivan books his wife with Chris Benoit and ends up losing said wife to Chris Benoit. I mean, they were already on the rocks as it was, but like you're trying to make it work. It's like, oh, well, hey, you need to be in a storyline with him. You're going to be his valet, but you need to spend all this personal time with him, and you need to be around him because you need people to believe it and think it's real. And then guess what? Then he just pops up with your girl, bro.
Well, hey, she went to a killer guy, figuratively and literally.
Hey, but they had some bangers after that, though. Him and Kevin Sullivan were fighting like every week, bro. Like beating each other up in the freaking bathrooms and shit. Like just going at it, bro. It was crazy.
Yeah. So if you look at some of the worst decisions that WCW ever made, so they took Lex Luger from WWF. He was the narcissist, and he slammed Yokozuna. It was a big deal on a Navy carrier. It was a huge deal because Yokozuna made a challenge if anybody could body slam him on the aircraft carrier, and then Luger did it, and he was this big star. And then he comes to WCW, and like they can't give him the title. They just can't do it. And then they finally give it to him by making Hulk Hogan tap out in the torture rack. Nobody believed it so much that like 5 days later, Hogan had the title back. Like it was that quick.
It was a bad, it was bad.
They couldn't use Lex. I love Lex Luger. But he's another one of those boring in the ring, but larger than life characters.
The total package.
The torture rack was garbage, bro. Like I was just like, okay. Like,
wait, so was the torture rack was like
he had him on his back and he was yanking on him. Yeah.
Okay. When he won, for some odd reason, I really thought that the torture rack was like a full Nelson of what Bobby Lashley was doing, or Chris Masters.
No, not the master lock. But the crazy thing was when he won, you could see he was excited, but like everybody's like, "Wait, why? Why did he tap out? Like, why did Hulk Hogan tap out? Like, what's going on? Like,
exactly."
It was just bad.
And by that point, he wasn't even hot. Like when he came in, like on that first episode, he was hot. Everybody's like, damn, like he's here. Like we're about to cut up. And then they just like, nah.
Yeah. And then he was infused with Van Hammer, and like because they couldn't put him in the main event. And then they're like, well, we done paid this motherfucker so much money, we putting the strap on him. Like we got to do it, right? And it was probably in his contract that he got the title once or something as well. And but what should have happened is somehow knock Hulk Hogan out in a power versus power, but to put him in a torture rack and like
and he tapped out fast too. It didn't even take.
It goes back to my point. You know why they couldn't put guys like Lex Luger or anybody in the cruiserweight division in the main event? Because they were so focused on the NWO.
Well, I mean, but you got to think 83 weeks though. I mean, you riding something. I mean, you have to ride the hot hand. You have to ride the hot hand. But well, you got to think at the end it was already too late. But when the power shifted, like when the power shifted and Raw started getting the ratings back, that should have been when you're like, okay, now I need to take a step back. Let me push the cruiserweight division as more of a major focal point. And I have enough main event guys that I can toss the belt between them and still keep things relevant.
Like once Vince pulled his head out of his ass and was like, oh, I can actually make money on Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, D-Generation X. Oh, congratulations, Vince. Congratulations, Vince. You actually did something smart when you've been getting your ass kicked for about a year and a half.
But I will say something, though. Towards the end, I don't know if you know this, but Eric Bischoff was fighting to get ownership of the company. Once they kicked Ted Turner out, he was trying to get ownership so he could get a TV deal. He was going to do a complete reboot. Like, he was going to rebrand everything, complete reboot, and do everything differently, try to fix all the stuff that him and Russo had jacked up. But he ran out of time, and he couldn't get a deal in place to get ownership and get a TV deal. So it went down the freaking drain.
So,
unfortunately, it did. And, yeah.
So while I agree with you, James, it should have happened earlier, putting Booker T and Chris Benoit and all that in the main event.
Yeah.
But Lex Luger, no. So the reason that they didn't push Lex Luger over Hulk Hogan is because that's crazy talk. I mean, like even at Lex Luger's height, he's not even close to what Hulk Hogan was and never should have been there. If they're going to take the strap off of Hulk Hogan, what should have happened was like somebody like Macho Man or Sting takes the title off of him. And then somebody like Chris Benoit or Eddie Guerrero or Chris Jericho takes the title off of Sting. And then you branch it out that way. That's what should have happened.
And it could have been a really cool like NWO versus WCW thing. Now it's like, oh, I'm going to put all these guys on a team and they're going to fight to take these guys out of the company. Right. Boom! Why was I not there?
Right. And no, but Lex Luger, larger than life character like Goldberg and Ultimate Warrior, but just in ring is just bad. Like Lex Luger was boring to watch, bro. Like, I'm gonna be real honest with you. Like, they pushed him hard, but like he was boring. And the fact that he's the one that took the title off Hogan was crazy. Should have been Macho Man, to be honest with you. Macho Man should have been the one that, because Hogan was always good. He gave it up to Macho twice in WCW. And he took the elbow drop and he took a clean down because that was his boy. He was willing to do that for Macho. So anytime they wanted to take the title off, Macho took it, and then that's when it went to people like Kevin. And that should have happened that way again.
And hell, I'm pretty sure, like, even during during like when Macho would take the title off of Hogan, that was probably during of like the whole, you know, what's going on the side between those two. You know, Macho Man is probably still thinking that Elizabeth still slept with Hogan and everything that was happening on the side. But at the same time, like, they both really had good in-ring chemistry.
So before we run our quick commercial and go into our final segment, Hulk Hogan 100% slept with Elizabeth. I don't care what anybody says.
You got lust in your eyes, brother.
Damn!
Right. You got lust in your eyes, brother.
Damn!
All right. With that being said, we're going to take our final commercial break. We'll be back in like 1 minute.
It helps me to remember this is what I live for, and I can't wait till I wake up to.
So, in a serious note, Wednesday at 8 or 9, we haven't decided. We're going to be debuting our brand new podcast, Divine Battleground. I cannot wait.
Is that like a Christian thing or something?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
So we totally told you in the council. So yeah. So and James, you can appear. So what we're going to be doing on episode 1 is we're going to be telling our testimonial of how we came to Christ. Our personal testimonials, and I will tell you, there's going to be Niagara Falls coming from me. I'm going to go ahead and warn y'all, because there's two times that it came back for me. So everybody's welcome. I know Chris says he wants to be a part of it. James, I know your faith is strong, so be prepared Wednesday, man. It's going to be to hear the story, my story, my 2 stories. They are heart-wrenching, to be honest with you. But with that being said, let's go into our final segment. Man, these were 2 iconic moments that changed both trajectories of both companies. So the image on the left was WCW's rise to prominence. The image on the right was WWF retaking the crown. So which one was the most iconic moment, Brandon?
So, in their own rights, both equally very high on the list of iconic moments. Like that happening with Shawn, Brett was genuinely pissed off about that. Did not want to relinquish the strap. Had no idea that was going to happen. Those were genuine feelings of betrayal. I'm pretty sure he hit Vince quite a few times after that match. I want to say he hit him right in the face. Just being the workhorse for the company, and then that was very personal, unfortunately. But he didn't want to do business the right way. Maybe he would have vacated it the next night. We really never know. I don't think he would have brought the title to WCW. That's just me, because I just felt like he was more of a company guy. But when I think about more iconic moments and what changed the business as a whole, I've got to go with the Hogan turn, man. Without the Hogan turn, we don't have WWF having to start doing things like this, having the Attitude Era to answer that. The Attitude Era was good, but it was an answer back for something. The heel turn of Hogan was out of nowhere. They had no reason to do it. Nobody had any idea that WCW was planning to do this and to take that major leap like they were. And when he did that, like you alluded to earlier, him coming out, you're thinking, okay, he's about to side with Macho Man, he's going to help him, whatever. The guys run out, and you're like, all right, cool, it's over. Well, next time knocks dude on the ground and hits him with a leg drop, you're like, wait a minute. Then they all culminate in the ring, you're like, bro, what? Completely changed the landscape of wrestling. The Montreal Screwjob deserves its praise. I say praise, it was a pretty jacked up situation. And they have just, now I'm glad they've been able to mend that situation between the 2 of them now, and they're friends now. But what Hogan and them did completely change the landscape, and I feel like without that, we probably don't have that other moment. If we have it, it's not going to be nearly as much of a magnitude.
Yeah, I like that analysis. What about you, James?
So, as good and as iconic as the Montreal Screwjob was, Brett didn't want to surrender the title, obviously, in his hometown, and especially to a guy like Shawn Michaels, because of he saw just how cocky he was, but at the same time, hey, he's drawing viewership. Hey, the Montreal Screwjob is good, but I really don't think anything is going to top Hulk Hogan turning. He in his heyday and in his prime, he was the ultimate good guy. Drink your milk, take your vitamins, say your prayers. He comes in at Bash at the Beach and turns on Macho Man and joins Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, forming the NWO. And I don't think anything is going to be more iconic than that.
Yeah, so we got a comment over here. I just noticed it. Probably Terry gonna make fun of me. Hogan's
fucking mommy, baby.
It really did set the standard for the Monday Night Wars. So for me, Look at the 4 men on this screen. Look at it. So these are 4 of the largest superstars of all time. Both of these moments were iconic. So you take the Montreal Screwjob, and Brandon, you alluded how those were real feelings of betrayal for Bret Hart. He blacked Vince McMahon's eye, like he showed it the next night on Raw, and it was awful. But Hogan turned and changed the wrestling industry. Like it totally, it really surprised WWF, and they didn't know what to do and didn't have an answer for 2 years. They had no idea. They're like, holy shit, I cannot believe they just pulled that off. And they had zero answer because they just had like 100 factions at that point. It was really a weird time for the WWF. And so they came out, and you talk about real emotions of Bret Hart, and they were. But the real emotion of the fans when Hulk Hogan turned, because they fucking loved him. Like say your prayers, eat your vitamins, like he was that guy. The crowd literally were throwing stuff at him.
The whole ring was full of garbage.
Yes, it was. They were, because kayfabe was so big back then. Like they loved this man. He was the ultimate good guy. And when he turned, the crowd was really upset. This wasn't fake. The crowd was like, there were tears in kids' eyes out there. Like it was.
They were throwing beer cans into the ring because of that turn.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. It was bad. I mean, you'll never recapture that moment. I mean, never. There's never going to be a guy that could heel turn and do that again. Stone Cold tried to heel turn. It was terrible. Couldn't pull it off. The only one, I guess, that would have, and it wouldn't have been that big, that could have came close would have been John Cena. Had he had turned at some point, it would have been, not this big, but it would have been an oh my God moment.
Yeah. 2 things I got to say. One, Hulk Hogan run for winning them damn yellow cowboy boots for one. Like, what are we doing here? And you were talking about how they had no answer. They really didn't, because you got WWF was still riding on these goofy cartoon character like Brooklyn Brawler, the baseball guy, like Doink the Clown. Like you had really good talent, but they were showing a lack of an adaptation. Like for all that time, you had all this talent, you just did not know what to put together to answer that. Like, man, they're pushing the envelope. And Eric Bischoff said it, and he continues to say it on his podcast. We wanted a product that felt real, that felt like people like were in it, like they could relate to it, and they did, because it just felt like, damn, like they pulled the rug out from under us. WWF is like, oh, this is just kid stuff. This is dumb. This is immature. Like I want to tune into WCW.
Correct. You're right, and that's what happened, because people were like, that's crazy. This is good, but when Vince McMahon came out, I don't know if y'all remember this, but he came out and Raw came on, and it was just him. And he's like, we're not going to insult your intelligence anymore. Like, we're not going to do that. This is sports entertainment. We have a new product, and I think you're going to love it. And the Attitude Era was born. That was an iconic moment, too, that he talk about, because when he came out and said that, everything changed, and WWF just started beating the hell out of WCW.
Well, that was when the red light was going off. He's like, dude, like if we don't figure something out now, like we're screwed. Like, because you remember that period of time, like after like WrestleMania 1 or whatever, like things were high, but things were like in turmoil, and they were losing money. It was almost a similar situation like that, but this time there was another company literally burying you alive. And he's like, look, dude, we are going to tap out if we don't figure something out now. And I think the writing was on the wall. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. Let's try to do what they're doing. We got talented guys. We got cool stories. I think we can do the same thing that they're doing, make it our own. And they ended up topping it, man. Doing the stuff they had with DX, pushing Steve Austin, pushing The Rock, having The Undertaker evolve from Ministry of Darkness. Like, they did an awesome job with storylines. And it was a great answer back to something that, from being something WCW that felt real, like real life, WWF took that and ran with it to where it was like, man, like I want to be like that guy. That's how I feel about my boss. I want to give my boss the middle finger. I want to kick him in the gut and give him a stunner. Like that, they just knew how to relate to people, and they just took the model that WCW did and they made it 20 times better.
Facts. I mean, even what I'm seeing right now, we got the American Badass, The Undertaker, congratulating Rhea Ripley as the new Women's World Champion. And he came out to obviously, what is it? Kid Rock, American Badass. You know, he's riding his bike, and look, I don't care what anyone says. American Badass Undertaker is unbeaten, and it's not even close. He comes out to Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit. He's riding his motorcycle. Like the fact that he was able to open up that much and just be more of himself, that's his best gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah, Undertaker was all his gimmicks were good though. That's another one like what Hulk Hogan did.
Food's ready.
Oh, okay. I love you.
Love you too.
Y'all all know Emily.
Hey, what's going on, Emily?
Dinner.
Dinner's going on. Love you. All right, so made enchiladas tonight, like one of my favorite things, man. I love the enchiladas.
And that man baked the cake, bro.
Yeah, and I baked the cake earlier. I sure did.
Heck yeah.
That's how we get down over here. I like to cook. So and I like to eat. So but guys, man, that was a great show, man. We're well over 700 views, 60 people watching the whole time. So just to correlate last week's show, right? We got 89 views and we had 4 people watching live. I tried a new strategy this week and I did some things, met some people, and I was like, hey, you know, what about this product? What about this product? Is this a good product? How should we present it? And then actually I brought some of that to Brandon. Brandon brought some back to me. We put this together and bam, 1 week turnaround. We're talking 84 views after a week compared to 700 views right now with 60 people watching. So great social media strategy there. I want to congratulate everyone. Cody, thank you for helping us. Cody, you're the man. Brandon came out with all these strategies to get it out and a new pitch, a new way to do it. So you have to have people stick around. Like, it's easy to get people to look, but to have people stick around, that's a testament to what you came up with, Brandon. James, man, you are always bringing the heat. Like you're a top character, man. Like I told you when we had our meeting, man, you need to be on the screen all the time, man. You and Cam, you just need to be here. And the social media campaign that I was able to put together based on some feedback given to me by a bunch of people. I just want to thank you all for being here, man. This was a really fun show. I think this show is going to be probably one of our more popular shows on the network. I think it's going to be really big. I'd love to have Mac on here one day. I'd love to have Cam on here. I'd love to have Chris, but he has his show tonight as well.
Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, Jimmy Snuka. That's like
on Netflix over Snuka.
Hey, so wait a minute. So Snuka is the Vanderbilt of this show.
And Ricky Steamboat, but I love me some Ricky Steamboat though.
Yeah, I love Ricky Steamboat. Oh yeah. But to say like he's one of the 2 GOATs is crazy talk. I love him, but that's crazy talk. Steamboat
Dude,
is not
unquestioned that Jimmy Snuka is the GOAT.
Jimmy Snuka is number 1 because of one moment that he jumped off a cage. Like, no, Snuka is not in my top 50. Just being honest. Like, rest in peace, yes, but Snuka's not in my top 50.
Yeah, just because he jumped off the top of a cage doesn't make him the freaking GOAT.
No, it was an iconic moment. I will give him that. That was an iconic moment, no doubt. But it's the only moment you've ever heard for Jimmy Snuka. The only one. You never heard of another one.
Number 1 in Chris's book.
Hey, look, you know, and I get it. The more I thought about it, which is still crazy talk, Snuka, but when that happened, I wasn't even born yet. So that means Chris was a kid, you know, kind of like I was in the golden era. So I get what he's saying. You know, he's 8-9 years old, and this larger than life guy climbs to the top of the cage, which is all they had back then, right? They didn't have Hell in a Cell.
He was around when Washington was president.
Right. And he jumps off of it. That had to be an iconic moment for his childhood. Mm-hmm. So I do understand why he chose that. Like, because that probably was like the big deal in wrestling back then. Because you only got to watch it once a week and you didn't know who it was going to be, which promotion. But with that being said, that's the only moment I know of Snuka.
Exactly.
But great show, guys. So final thoughts, Brandon.
Man, I think this episode was really good just based on the viewership. So maybe next week we get back on our bag and we have another deep dive. Not going to tell you what it is, but I think this could be a real gold mine, and it seems like a lot of people liked it. As for why we have so many people watching it. So definitely stay tuned, and you won't be disappointed.
So I got my schedule a couple weeks out. I'm on the show the next 2 weeks, too. Yeah. Final thoughts,
so final thoughts. Team USA, baby. World Junior. Back-to-back 2024-2025 International Ice Hockey Champions, baby. Beating Finland in overtime, and man, was a talent stacked as ever. It was awesome. On top of that, every person out there that is watching this, that is tuning in, y'all best be having Freebird on blast, on repeat, and the volume turned all the way up because the guitar solo itself was USA's goal song, and it don't get much better than that.
I can't get over dude's facial expressions, bro. Like, he completely steals the moment. He's like, what?
On top of that, like Conor McGregor said, the double champ does what the fuck he wants. You want these championships? Come and get some. I never back down, and I never quit. Anytime, anywhere, any place. You just name it. Terry, I'm looking at you in your fucking direction, baby. Come get these titles from me.
You be talking about Conor, all I think about, who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck is that guy?
So, yeah, the most overrated song of all time is Freebird, bro. Like,
oh, you crazy.
I'm outing that shit.
And Andrew's voice, crazy talk.
Crazy.
Not so fast, my friend.
No.
If we got USA hockey team blasting that as our goal song, it don't get more American than that.
We are the champions.
I mean, there are so many better songs to choose. But hey, I'm not in their inner circles. Who knows why they chose it? Just for me, it just no. So final thoughts for me. Hey, y'all, today is Monday, which means Wednesday, Divine Battleground. Really cool stuff. The initial show. Thursday, College Sports Villains. JD will be back. Man, we got playoff talk. We got a lot of transfer portal, FAFO. As you know, we like to do that. Can't wait. Friday, No Mercy Sports. So just so you know, I'm 7 to 5 Friday, so there's a really good chance I'm going to be on No Mercy Sports. However, we're supposed to have some terrible, god-awful ice storm, and that usually equals power outages, so I have to be prepared for that as well. Yeah. Sunday, man, you got game day countdown with Mac and James. I don't guess it'll be on this Sunday because are the playoffs this Sunday? Are we going to have some playoffs?
You probably have some wild card games. I didn't check the dates, but I got to imagine you have some Saturday and Sunday.
So that may be on.
I'll be sure to check the dates and keep you posted in the group chat.
Thank you. And of course, Sunday night, football frame of mind. We got Talking Iowa Sports with Dean. He just kind of goes on when big games happen, basketball, baseball, football. So you'll see him pop in and out throughout the time. Hawkaholics will be back for baseball season, I believe, but they're not currently running right now. It was a great show, and I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the chat.
Yes, sir.
And as always,
John 3:16.